Namaskar and welcome to Issues Before Parliament. The budget session of Parliament commences from the 28th of January and it goes on till the 2nd of April. It is in two phases. The first phase is from the 28th of January to the 13th of February, and then the second phase is from the 9th of March till the 2nd of April. But it's a very important session. It's the first session of the year, so it begins with the joint address of the President to both the Houses of Parliament, and then it's followed by the economic survey and then the presentation of the budget on the 1st of February, which happens to be a Sunday this year. But what we normally do before each session of Parliament, just to get a sense of the mood of the people, we discuss what issues are likely to be raised in this session of Parliament and also what agenda the government has for the session. So to take us through this discussion, we have with us Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal. He's the spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, representing the Treasury benches. He also looks after the economic affairs of the party. We have with us Tehseen Poonawalla, who's a political analyst, and he leans towards the Congress party. And Anmol Panwar is the spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with us. We'll start with you, Mr. Agarwal. So tell us what is the government's thinking of this particular session? Because, I mean, people look at the government has a very long-term vision, Viksit Bharat 2047 and things like that. But when the President addresses on the first day and then the budget is to be presented, it's a lot of political statements can be made, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. Because the President will outline what have been the achievement of our government over the last 10 or 11 years, or particularly after the last year. And economic survey will also put down what is the state of the economy, though RBI gives state of the economy every month, and Ministry of Finance also comes out with the state of economy, various macro and micro parameters that are stated every month. But important thing will be the whole year analysis on the economic survey, and we are happy to share with the audiences that our economy is doing very good over the current time, and it is being appreciated across the world. And today is a very happy moment then that we have signed a free trade agreement with European Union. It has come out after we had good agreement with Germany, Europe, Australia, Gulf country, UAE, etc. And it is called mother of all deals, where almost more than 200 crore people will be on board to come out with economic integration. That's very important. And our macroeconomic parameters, whether it is the FDI, we are attracting highest FDI. Our inflation is come down below 1%. Our GDP growth rate is more than 8%, and next year it is expected to cross 10% nominal GDP growth rate. Our defense sector is performing very well. Our space technology sector is doing good. Financial fintech is also doing good. Our sectors like chip technology, semiconductor, etc., and other manufacturing sector through PLI are performing very well. So I think this economic parameters, economic ecosystem is quite fine, and we will also build on that. There are certain important financial bills. Budget session is a financial statement of the government, where we will also give a vision for the next Viksit Bharat to be achieved by 2047. There are certain important financial bills like integration of the financial sector, SEBI, Securities Contract Regulation Act, etc., into a single market, security market code. New security market code is there. Last budget we had announced the notification for the labor code. There are certain issues, rules, etc., have to be come out. Then there are issues about the Viksit Bharat.
Sure. So the government has a very strong agenda.
IBC amendment. So there are certain important issues in addition to budget provisions that will be announced in this session.
Mr. Poonawalla, from the opposition's point of view, what do you think are the key issues that are likely to be raised during this session?
Let me just first give some numbers. Actually, net FDI, which accounts for the outflows, etc., disinvestments, etc., has turned negative. For the last 4 months, it has turned negative. Now, this is not my report. This is the Finance Ministry and RBI report. Number two, the growth rate the IMF has given India a C category on the accounting process of the growth rate and on the way we calculate our economic parameters. Food inflation, while inflation is low at about 2%, not 1%, food inflation is at an all-time high. Unemployment is at a high 20%, particularly in urban areas. And the government has no plan for any of these problems. All we've heard in your show, and this is the third time I'm coming for third time on your show before the budget session. The last 3 years is we have a plan for the future. But 3 years ago, today was the future, and they still haven't executed the plan. And even today, we've had the same person from the Aam Aadmi Party and me for the 3 years in running, and all they're talking about is the future, not telling us what they've achieved. They have achieved absolutely nothing. What is actually happening is a worrisome figure of how unemployment, how a lack of AI rules and regulations, net outflow of FDI, and high net worth individuals leaving India is crumbling the basis of the Indian economy today. But more importantly, and this is where I want to end, the middle class is burdened with high taxes and GST. Recently, the government Tom GST reforms brought in after pressure from the opposition. What happened? All companies have increased the rate. The benefit has not gone to the consumer. So they have done nothing for consumers, for middle class. The common man is suffering. High network individuals are leaving India, and they are still talking about the future. 3 years ago, they were talking about the future, and they have nothing to talk about today. That is how they mislead people.
I'll turn to Mr. Agarwal once again to answer those, but let me first go to Mr. Panwar. Would you want to add on to that or bring in some more new issues? What would you like to say?
Mark, the government is going to present its 12th budget.
Right.
They have consecutively presented 11 budgets. And now you'll agree with me that they must be judged not on the basis of announcements or the promises they are going to make to the people, but on the basis of outcomes. Whether those big numbers which they present that we are going to be a Viksit Bharat till 2047 and the GDP has risen so much and the inflation has reduced, whether those numbers have translated in providing a dignified life to the common man of this country, that's the moot question. Secondly, they claim that we are the 4th largest economy. Okay, we agree with that. But the point is, why is it that we are ranked 124 in terms of per capita income? Why is it that you are contributing only 2% for education and healthcare? Why is it that we are ranked 105 out of 124 in terms of global hunger index? Why is it that top 1% earns 40% of income and bottom 50% owns only 40% of the income? Why is it that 64% of the GST is coming from the poor people? You promised Achhe Din. You didn't provide 2 crore jobs to the people. You promised that you will double farmers' income. It never happened. Skill India is failed. Smart Cities Mission is failed. Jan Dhan Yojana is failed. All your promises which you have made, whether it's Swachh Bharat Mission, Namami Gange, Make in India, Startup India, every promise you made to the people of this country, they have not materialized. Okay. So the moot question is, where's the accountability? Where's the delivery? Where's the governance?
That's the views of Mr. Panwar, that these have not materialized, but obviously the people of India decide these things. And we turn once again to Mr. Agarwal. The question is about, whether the accounting is correct because of the IMF putting it as C grade. The base year has to be is going to be changed. So things will be different. But apart from that, the question about whether this growth has translated on the ground, as it's created, are the disparities growing, or whether it's more inclusive. The Prime Minister speaks of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas. Put that into context for us.
No, we have to understand that we have been in power since 2014, and before that there were other opposition parties which were ruling this for almost more than 60 years. There are certain historical facts which have to be taken into consideration. Concentration of wealth was always a problem in the country, and that is because the policies followed by the previous government. But during our regime, or in last 3-4 years, more than 25 crore people have been pulled out of extreme poverty, and this is recognized by the World Bank. And this is not our data alone. Second important thing is, when there are issues, every international forum, whether it is World Economic Forum, whether it is IMF, whether it is World Bank, or whether it are different credit rating agencies or investment banks, etc., are investing very heavily and have a faith in India's growth story.
Right.
This is one thing. And we also have a good data. You see, we were importing almost 90% of our defense requirement from outside world. Last year, more than 68% of our defense requirement were produced domestically. That's a big achievement. We had only 300 to 400 startup in before 2014. Now, last year when there was 10 years of startup ecosystem, more than 2 lakh startup ecosystems startups are working in India.
Right.
Only in space technology, more than 300 startups are working. Space technology, we are now have a capacity to launch the cheapest spaceships across the world, and global industries, global countries are looking towards India to launch their satellite. Our defense, our space technology, our chip manufacturing, we did not have a single chip manufacturing facility for last almost since independence. The first chip manufacturing facility
Right.
has come out now, and yesterday the American government has said that India will now come into the club of chip manufacturers.
Sure.
There are only 4 countries now. There are in pharmaceuticals, we are global leaders. In vaccine production, more than 80% of the world requirement is being made here. Our banking sector is performing very well. So, and digital public infrastructure, the most
Yes,
important
yes.
is that you asked what we are doing for welfare of the people. The digital public infrastructure is an exemplary way
Yes.
by which, without any corruption or leakages, we have been able to transfer more than 50 lakh crores in last 11 years without a single paisa getting not getting transferred to the persons. And
Okay.
important thing is the direct tax has been limit for direct tax nil, exemption limit is increased by 12 lakh every year.
Yes.
And under the GST, the indirect tax, which was hovering around 25 to 30% before 2016 when GST was implemented, now it
Sure.
has come down to less than 10%. And corporate tax, we
Indeed.
are at the global competitive level of 25%. So,
Indeed.
corporate tax reduced, individual tax reduced, indirect tax has been reduced, 25 crore people have been pulled out of extreme poverty, 50 lakh crore have been transferred to the needy people, a targeted delivery without any leakages, and our economy is fastest growing economy, which is going to cross more than 10% nominal GDP in next year.
Okay.
That's the growth story we are building on, and
Yes.
continue to do it.
True.
We are not just sitting
Mr.
on
Agarwal,
our
let's
laurels.
listen to what the opposition has to say about what you've said, because I mean there is one can't really argue with these figures. They are available in the public domain. They are secondary figures also, in the sense that international organizations have also taken them up, and you know, they've highlighted how India's growth story is, and we are seeing that investment continues to come in. So, Mr. Poonawala, from that point of view, I mean, there is no argument. Mr. Panwar also says India is the 4th largest economy, on trajectory to becoming the 3rd. What is the real problem then you have with the economy?
First of all, the same international agencies, like I repeat, the IMF has assigned a C grade to India's national accounts and GDP data for a 2nd consecutive year. This never happened before. So yes, there is a growth trajectory, but the IMF, the agency they're quoting, has given it a C grade. Now let's come to the issues at hand. There is no doubt that the Indian economy will become the 4th or the 3rd largest economy in the world. Is it equitable growth? The difference between the have-not and the have-nots has increased tremendously. It has never been this much. Manufacturing as percentage of the GDP has come down to a staggering 13%. This is what it used to be in the 1960s. Employment in manufacturing is low at about 12%. This is again what used to be in the 1960s. They don't have a data for employment. We have the highest unemployment in urban India, particularly amongst youngsters. So with all of this growth, where are the jobs being created? Why then are the most HNIs leaving India? None of these are questions that are being answered. For what we get is vague generalities about the economy. Yes, because we are a country of 1.4 billion, there will be growth. There will be tax generation. There will be money coming to the government. How is this money being distributed amongst the poor? How is this money actually helping the poor and percolating growth without numbers being fudged has not been spoken about on the show. But most importantly, and I think this is where we need to focus on, the fact of the matter is today in the last 11 years, if you were to see the quality of life of an average middle class Indian.
Okay, Mr. Panwar, what would you like to add to that? In terms of the growth story, you've already accepted that that is very much the trajectory of the Indian economy. Also, from the point of view of, internationally also, India is looking for new markets. We're faced with all these global headwinds, and the government has handled it well by looking for diversification. The MSME sector, the government has taken care of them by, providing them support, and also industry and manufacturing has been given PLIs. So, I mean, from what to what extent do you think that, what more can the government do?
Mark, the reality is that 90%, 90 crore population is getting 5 kg rations from this government. It means the situation is very bad. People are not getting basic amenities of life. In the national capital, we saw that how clean water is a luxury. We are breathing poisonous air, and the people of this country, they are not getting free and good education in government schools, free and better healthcare in government hospitals. All their schemes, whether it's Ayushman Bharat, whether you talk about Skill India, whether you talk about Namami Gange, they are marred in corruption, and that is the report of Comptroller and Auditor General of India. It's a central government agency. They talk about giving employment to the youth. Youth comprises 65% of the population. They promise that will provide 2 crore employment every year. But the data shows the hard reality that even after 12 years, they have failed to provide 2 crore employment to the youth. 45-year high unemployment we are facing presently in our country. Secondly, the fact of the matter is the Aam Aadmi of this country is bearing the brunt of this corrupt government, which has failed to deliver on each and every promises which they made to the common man of this country. They have failed in all their deadlines. That's why they are saying कि 2047 तक ऐसा कर लेंगे. 22 साल इंतजार करेंगे हम. 22 साल, 12 साल में नहीं कर पाए, 22 साल में कैसे करोगे?
Okay, Mr. Agarwal, so the issue is about jobs. At the end of the day, translating it, both of them are talking about where are the jobs for the large population that India has. Mr. Panwar also talked about the per capita income being low. Of course, it's a large population. So even if we are the 4th largest economy, I mean, per capita wise, we will be slightly struggling. How would you answer these two
So I think
points?
we have to understand that the size of the cake does matter. In economic partake, we have to understand that unless you increase the size of the cake, you cannot only depend on the distributive model. If you only depend upon the distributive model as was being done by the earlier government, it was just distributing poverty to the common man. We have increased the size of the cake and also brought efficiency into our distributive system through direct benefit transfer, and it has been digital public infrastructure under G20. It has been appreciated across the world globally, and many countries are now adopting our digital public infrastructure, through which at a click of button large amount of welfare schemes support goes to, whether it is Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi, Ujjwala Yojana, subsidy in the Ujjwala Yojana, or Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, or other welfare schemes, etc. They go directly to the common man. Second important thing is where are the jobs? Jobs are coming through manufacturing sector. If more than 50 crore people have got Mudra loan, Shishu, Tarun or Mudra loans are being given, they are doing manufacturing. Cottage industry has come up. More than 60,000 farmer producer women self-help groups have come up, farmer producer organizations are coming up, cooperative sector is growing, rural economy through cultural, economic, art, music, dance, food, festival, connecting them to the economic activity, to the remote areas, through cooperative sector, through village development areas, Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana. We are taking development to the rural areas, to remote areas, and creating infrastructure to them, creating demand in the economy. This is an ecosystem through which manufacturing and demand and private investment will come up and is coming up already.
Yes.
More than 50 crore loans or mudra loan have gone to the people. They are generating at least 5 to 10 jobs per setup organization also.
Indeed.
So these are the various. You cannot just depend only on say ki government jobs are. There is a limitation to what government jobs is. It is self-employment, entrepreneurship. Now we are building upon Vishwakarma Yojana. 18 new sectors like small areas, those people who do work through their hands, repairs, electricity, sanitation work, this
Yes.
Kumar, etc. They mechanic, car mechanic, etc. They are being given training through Vishwakarma Yojana. They are getting financial support for buying tools. They are also giving subsidized loans for starting up
Right.
their business, and street vendors scheme is such a successful scheme that
Okay.
is,
So-
small businesses
So
are
clearly
growing
we
up.
can see, Mr. Poonawalla, that distribution is taking place, especially because of the digital public infrastructure, which has made India the largest, the highest number of transactions take place digitally in India, much higher than any other country. So how would you assess what Mr. Agarwal is saying? He's clearly provided that the government is providing an ecosystem, which is it's a long-term plan. It's a work in progress, and the results are clearly visible because the economy is definitely advancing.
And already in last 11 years,
Mr.
lot
Agarwal,
of things
please
have
now.
been done.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, I request you. The BJP has a phenomenal talent. It is so talented that things that the Aam Aadmi spokesperson and I actually put across, they hear that and they process it and they repeat it and they say as if they don't even want to counter it. So let's now break this down. One, Gopal Agarwal ji said that mudra loans is reached a record high. That's true. The average mudra loan is 55,000 rupees. Average mudra loan is 55,000 rupees. In 55,000 rupees, Gopal Agarwal ji is saying that 5 people are going to get jobs and manufacturing is going to happen. Either me and the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson are living in a parallel universe, or the BJP is living in a parallel universe. 55,000 is the average. Now let's take a second thing. Just on the show, I started by saying the manufacturing as percentage to the GDP has come down to 13% for the first time since 1960s. Yet he's saying manufacturing is the highest. We just said that employment in manufacturing is at the level of the 1960s. Yet he's saying, no, that's also the highest. Can you give us data? Because we are giving you your government data. Just your fiscal deficit with China is $110 billion. And your rupee is today at a staggering 92.
Okay.
Staggering 92. How
So
is this economic?
I seem to be
am
running
not
short of
doubting
time, so
that
let me
the
just
country-
get in Mr. Panwar once again, and then we'll have closing comments from Mr. Agarwal. Yeah, go ahead.
BJP spokesperson has exposed himself today. I'll give you hard facts. He said that jobs itni आसानी से create नहीं हो सकती. Make in India, they promise that they'll raise manufacturing to 25% of GDP and they'll create millions of jobs. While the reality is that manufacturing share has fell and stagnated around 15 to 16%.
Yes.
Secondly, Mudra. NPAs have doubled in last 5 years for Mudra loans. And as Congress spokesperson said, the amount which they are providing as loans, they are not viable to run a business. And it shows that there is serious stress among borrowers. Thirdly, they have introduced in this session, they talked about Kisan. However, the reality is that MSP has never been provided. Farmers' income has never doubled. Their loans have not been waived. Instead, loans of the corporates have been waived to the tune of 70 lakh crores. And this time, they have introduced a bill, Seeds
Okay.
Bill 2025, which favors the private companies. I'll tell you why. Because farmers, they reuse their own seeds. This has been traditionally done in the past. Now, They are supposed to buy those seats
Okay.
from commercial and private companies. They does not guarantee
we are running short of time,
representation
so
from
let me
the state
I'll
of
have to cut in
Punjab.
for over there. I understand you've raised issues with the agriculture sector. Final words from you, Mr. Agarwal. I mean, they've talked about many issues. Clearly, the government is quite focused on its plan, and the plan is a long-term plan. So, I mean, how would you address some of the issues finally in your final
I
answer?
think the important thing is MSME sector and manufacturing sector. If it strengthens, this sector is strengthened, then only our economy will grow further. Agriculture sector needs support, but the growth will come at present from the manufacturing sector, particularly MSME sector, and economic survey will clear all the doubts about what have been raised. I will not go on repeating the same issues. Economic survey on 29th will come out with the current ecosystem, but the important thing will in this budget session will be the strengthening the foundation of the economy, which we have built over last 11 years, and further take it to the make India economic power globally, and for that also strengthen our sectors which can benefit from the bilateral
We'll leave it there.
agreement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal from the BJP, Tehsim Poonawalla from the political analyst who leans towards the Congress party, and Anmol Panwar, spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. From our discussion, it seems clear that the Indian economy is on a strong growth trajectory. There have been issues raised by the opposition parties, but the government is abreast of the situation. They understand that in inclusive growth agenda, also as Mr. Agarwal says, the pie has to grow bigger before distribution really is more inclusive. We are waiting for the economic survey to clear all the doubts, but this is a very important session of Parliament because the budget will not only present a vision for the future, but also it is a document that affects every single Indian, and we will all be looking forward to it. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.